life has been a very fluctuating and up and down kind of process, I imagine.
For sure, for sure. But the leukemia took me away from Michigan, which I have, bless somebody for that. And if, I only live a couple more months or whatever, it's a lot better than living under constant stress, of worrying about not being accepted or not being accepted.
So that's one good thing that the leukemia did for you.
Yeah, it really was, because I got a divorce out of it. My goodness, I got to California. And I really mean that.
Previously, the divorce was a hurt. Here it sounds more like a blessing. I wish to follow and be with each feeling as it arises, no matter how ephemeral it may be.
But even when I say it, it was a rough, scratchy road. And, it's extremely difficult for me to talk about it now. It really is.
Notice how his speech has slowed down. It shows he's working on himself. A client's whole speech pattern changes when he's exploring difficult new terrain.
They have things out I'm not sure in terms of how to do yet or whatever. And I'm really not sure, but there's some, there's some things, like I've, really got to come to grips with it finally, because there's still, when I talk to my wife from 3,000 miles away and she tells me about what her mother thinks and all sorts of other things or whatever, I get sick. It happened the other day. She called and everything was really great, and she began to talk about a lot of other people and what their attitudes and what their opinions was. And that night I got very little sleep and was ready to go back to the hospital and was ready to have leukemia too. Was ready,
So you feel as though in some sense you prepare the readiness for the illness, or by taking in something from outside, it makes you ready to have it.
It seems like it. I didn't believe that. I didn't believe that statement that you just made some time ago. But I believe it now. I believe it.
A fascinating awareness of the psychological source of his symptoms.
I recall when I went back and it was the first time my parents had learned I had leukemia. What do you say to your mother? What do you say to your father? I remember I got a phone call, and I was staying at my wife's house. We were going to, keep in mind now, we're going through a divorce, the whole bit, and I'm celebrating my children's birthday at the same time. My mother calls. We're coming over. Nobody at the house. All of a sudden, I lose my vision goes. That was one of the symptoms of the leukemia, and it's scared the hell out of me. Like I really wanted to run, but I couldn't run. I couldn't see.
Couldn't see.
And it's only when I got back to California that I tried to put that together, of what happened when, and in terms of the paralysis that I had, in terms of my leg. It's incredible. It really seemed like somehow I've got control of that in some way, but I'm not really sure. But I'm convinced that I have control, but I'm not sure how.
I gather you feel that where before these things happened to you because of what happened to you from the outside, now you're beginning to feel a control over it yourself from inside. Is that part of what you're saying?
I think that's what I'm saying.
This raises the whole question, what is illness? In what sense is it psychological? In what sense physical? I can only go with the psychological reality as he presents it to me.
When I'm positive and when I'm doing things that I enjoy, I don't have symptoms anymore. I don't have symptoms, and I don't, like when I came down here, the doctors wanted me to have transfusions and things like that, and then I remember one doctor saying to me, well, I don't know really who's got you into playing this tennis and all that or whatever, but you really need to come in here and have a transfusion. I said, really, for what? I'm doing okay. Well, to be on the safe side, that's, well, I won't say what that is, but, like, to some extent, though, that confirms some things to me, about not trusting doctors to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the leukemia, and I'm certainly not trying to indict all doctors in the medical profession, but what happened to me, I think, I hope in some way that other people that have life-threatening illnesses can deal with, because I think that I do have that control. And like, since I was 7, to some extent, when I went down that basement and turned that light off or whatever, and I shut the outside world off or whatever, somehow I'd lost that. Because somehow, in the process of becoming educated and socialized and whatever, I let other people control what I wanted to do. And I did, and that was, Jesus, that was well, what can you say?
That has a lot of meaning to me, and I want to make sure I'm getting it straight. Down in that basement as a 7-year-old, with the lights out, you were really finding yourself, and I gather trusting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then life was said to you, no, don't do that. We have the standards for you. Live up to our expectations. You've got to be the image. You've got to be just right and everything. And now you're gradually recapturing what you found as a 7-year-old.
I believe that to be true. Because even though that, the responsibility, like, it was like something inside of me could touch something that wasn't seen. When I was 7.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember what the book was, The Young Road or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it had an extraordinary effect on me, this 7-year-old, Jesus, I started writing poetry, I remember, my first poem.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I did lose it. Like, I still had it, but all this garbage about me being
well buried.
Yeah. And then other people were shaping me up, by saying, well, you're really good if you do it this way or whatever, and you'll be
credit
successful.
To your race.
Oh, yeah. You're extraordinary. You're a credit to your race, And I don't know, maybe they meant very well or whatever, but it didn't do the job. It didn't do the job, Because in a way, by accepting that kind of praise and their kind of buying into their kind of system and whatever, like, I gave up something that I knew already at 7 years old.
And that something, as I get it, is you were giving up something of yourself.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, I did.
This really touches him. He's letting it sink in. He's experiencing his loss of self. This is the very heart of therapy. When I can provide a climate in which the client can experience his buried feelings, rather than describe them or be told about them, it has a much more powerful and enduring effect.
Maybe I'd have been better off if I'd have just went out and lived my life rather than trying to live other people's lives or whatever, But I gave up being happy myself. I didn't expect, I guess I didn't expect myself to be happy or to even really maybe deserve happiness or something.
Sounds like you wanted so much to help people that helping yourself didn't fit into that picture at all.
Not at all. There was enough to do without worrying about your own little problems and things like that at that time. So I said to myself then, oh, yeah. A lot of things are racing through my mind as we talk. And, but there are certain things that, through this whole thing, that I pick out in terms of when I was 7. And those are just really important times for me, There was, it was important times in terms of when I was alone and when I was sure and when I felt good and I felt a part of the stars, the universe. I really did feel that. I remember I used to go out when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, look up in that beautiful sky and see those stars or whatever and say, that's mine over there and I'm going to be there. And I felt good. I felt, I don't know, in a sense, more integrated than after, as I continued to do this and fill out the forms for scholarships and things like that. I lost it. I really lost it.
At 7, you were really a part of the universe and you knew it.
That's what I thought, but what does a 7-year-old know? I don't.
This has been a marvelous picture of the wholeness of a child and its disruption by society. I'm trying, as in all my therapy, to help him get back to the kind of realness he had as a child.
I think I did, yes. I knew it. I knew it. Because I knew it because I was always drawn to the stars, It wasn't anything that, my parents didn't wake me up in the middle of the night or whatever. I woke up. I don't know why.
It was something that you wanted to do. It was something that grew out of you. Not because somebody else said, hey, you should be interested in the stars or something like that.
For sure. And I think at that time I was really the best person that I could be. And, and I guess for some reason I don't want to heap it on everybody else, but I was just taught, conditioned or something, to not trust that anymore. It's like those things when you're young you hold on to or whatever.
But then that's just childish. That's just
right.
Yeah. Don't trust that stuff. We're telling you what's right.
Yeah, and it's I really suppressed, I guess, a hell of a lot of anger, because when you said that, I felt, like, think of all kind of words now that I could say.
Speaking with society's voice, when I said, oh, that's just childishness, we're telling you what's right, was simply intuitive on my part, but it released his anger. I like to follow my intuition, and I've learned to trust it.
You're a minority, and not only is a minority in terms of within a minority, my mother is Osage, she's part Indian, her family, with that history, and father a descendant of black slaves, and they being picked out, because that's what it, certainly was, because I knew what was happening to other people in the class, whether they were white or black or whatever, but it was, but I always, really understood that I had to be 200% better than everybody else, so I had to achieve, I almost killed myself playing football because I wanted to be the littlest superstar or whatever. Just crazy things, it was that competitiveness or whatever, and it was that I wouldn't have anything if I didn't compete and if I didn't do it like, somebody else told me to do. I guess.
So those standards and what they did to you really dominated your life, if I get it right.
I think so. I really think so. My reference point became, and I guess I bought into that, I really bought into it, and it really seems foreign to me now. It seems as foreign, I think, as leukemia, it really does,
Yeah, one way of putting it that I feel is that you're saying, damn it, that 7-year-old was more right than all that's gone on in between.
Yeah, and maybe trying to get back to that and whatever, and now, and, I just wonder how that person at 7 would have been dealing with the leukemia and all those other problems now. It would have been interesting, I think. Probably to handle it much better. Some kind of release. I don't know.
Notice how his voice has slowed, become more thoughtful and calm. He's getting closer to himself by revealing some of himself, and it feels good.
I've been told a lot of people, about me, and it's something that came out, and that other part of me maybe, I I'm really wondering about trusting too right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I have trusted a lot of other people
Mm-hmm.
too.
And so you're wondering, yeah, but can I trust him?
Mm. Well,
Maybe part of that reason is you feel, my God, I've told him a lot. I've trusted him. Have I trusted him too much?
sure. Well, I guess I just gonna have to deal with it in terms of I just have to trust myself to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I do have that, you know. I have that history.
Is it safe to trust me with this more vulnerable part of himself? Clients often have such doubts, and I respond in a way which helps him to realize that I recognize and accept that question.
You know. But I've really been, you know, not like a lot of other people, or whatever, you know. But I've learned so many things from this whole thing, or whatever, you know. And even just sitting here and talking with you, you know, whether you're Carl Rogers or Jesus Christ or whatever, you know, like
Joe Dokes.
Whomever, you know, it's still it's a very difficult thing for me to,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't know if I just haven't allowed myself to be open, or, you know, and to be needy or whatever. But, you know, it's that junk, you know, that credit to, you know, that really makes me mad. That really made me mad. I mean, I keep, in my mind, as I'm talking, that keeps coming back to me, you know. Credit to my race. You know, I remember that teacher so well with big boobs, and she put my head right in them, and she said, "I was a credit to a race," and that, you know, that would that burned me up.
So as you get deeper into that feeling, it isn't just that you wondered, earlier you said you wondered if that was wise of her to do that. Now you know, damn it, I'm really angry at her for doing that to me.
Yeah. And I'm even more angry when I see it happening all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't want it to happen to my kids,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I didn't really want my kids to be a credit to their race,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I know that now.
Mm-hmm.
Getting militant. It's incredible.
He finds it very hard to experience his anger. He only talks about it rather coolly. The sigh, though, is one of real letting down, of relaxing, of trusting. We really are in relationship. Our time's about up, and I don't know if there's more you want to say now for today, okay, or if not, maybe we can call it quits for today.
Well, I'd like to be able to tell you something
All right.
that is going to make me feel good, and it's going to continue to have me feel positive about myself and to grow and to be nourished or whatever, but I'm really not sure what to say, you know. But I really want to do that so that I can continue to live, you know, and that's important to me. And so, but it's just not coming. But I think I really want to say that, and I want to be comfortable in saying, you know, I got raked over the coals, and I resent it, and I'm mad, and I'm angry, and I need to get that to be angry, and,
Okay.
you know.
Mm-hmm. I was really screwed by a lot of people, and I have reason to be angry, and I am angry, and I need to say that. I can hear the anger in there.
Yeah. But, you know, I haven't said it yet, though, you know. I really haven't, you know. I think that's just a part of being civilized, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's very, you're talking about it in a very civilized fashion.
Right.
Living up to those standards.
Yeah. Which I'd like to just go back and kick some butts, I think. Well, enough of the militancy.
Okay. Shall we call it quits for today?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Good. Good. We'll see you tomorrow. He has revealed more of himself than he expected to. He's gone from a presentation of himself to exploring himself, from talking politely to talking honestly about anger. I believe this has happened because I have followed every feeling I could. Even when he seems to be scattered, to be talking about several different things, I have tried to stay with and respond to the most central of his feelings. I feel like we've made a start. On a more intellectual level, this session provides dramatic evidence of the theory that the child is open to all experiencing, that he or she feels the locus of evaluation is in the self. Then the family, the educational system, and the culture pound home the lesson: don't believe in your own experience, but learn to live by others' expectations. Then you'll be rewarded by love. Therapy means slowly discarding those introjections and gradually recapturing the person as he was in childhood.